Dear viewers, it is wonderful to come your way again with another edition of the Conversations. Today we would want to welcome our brothers who are members of the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. It's been in the conversation for a while, and then especially on the Ghanaian media environment, to listen to conversations on the LGBT proper human sexuality and then many other related conversations. Last Sunday, in most of our churches, we were invited to a week-long prayer marathon in support of the passing of the Family Values Bill that is currently before the President. And this prayer marathon also invited all of us to be on board to be able to promote Ghanaian cultural and human values. Today we are lucky to have some of the members of the coalition with us, and we would like them to be able to explain further what exactly we're going to do in this prayer exercise, and then what are the aspirations that the coalition seek to achieve. So let us welcome these gentlemen and then listen to their names and then what they do for the coalition. To my immediate left would be
Reverend Dr. Edwin Oku-Ahene, the African Christian Church, Cape Coast, and a member of the coalition.
Reverend, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. And then to my right would be
I'm Reverend Samuel Kwame Entries. I'm with House of Faith Ministries, a member of the coalition, the regional chapter, and also the regional coordinator for the local council of churches. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, my name is Evangelist Kofi Fayin Martin. I'm with the Methodist Church, Abra Methodist Church, and also I'm the chairman for the Central Regional Chapter of the coalition.
Gentlemen, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
So let's set the ball rolling by listening to a brief presentation on the nature and objectives of the National Coalition for Proper Human Rights and then Sexual Values. What is the coalition expected to do?
Yes, the coalition, a full name National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values, had to be formed based on certain things that were happening in the country. The first one was that between 2019 and 2020, the Ministry of Education Ghana introduced or wanted to introduce the comprehensive sexual education for primary and secondary schools to teach the children as young as 4 years certain sexual orientation, including masturbation and homosexuality. And there was great opposition to this, and they had to withdraw that sort of agenda. In 2021, the LGBTQI+, which we can say lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, so it's an acronym which came from the Western world, got an office, opened an office at Tesano in Accra, and this triggered widespread opposition in the country. And as a result of that, people realized that these people had come to change our cultural values. Very important. As Ghanaians, we have our culture. Apart from the LGBT agenda not being Christian. So an 8-member group of MPs, together with the coalition and other members, concerned groups, including the churches, including religious bodies, even our traditional rulers, decided to have a private members bill to Parliament. And this was to safeguard our culture. And it went through many readings and so on, deliberations in Parliament. And in February 2024, this bill was passed by Parliament, awaiting presidential assent. So the coalition basically is in support of the people coming from outside, the LGBTQ people, who want to change our culture, who want to change our sexuality, who want to go against the word of God.
Okay, thank you, Reverend. So if I understand you, it means there have been threats, if you, as the way you put it, external threats against Ghanaian cultural values and then sexual orientation. And this coalition came up with modalities and then conversations to be able to help us safeguard our traditional Ghanaian and religious, sexual, and then cultural values. Okay, so was that the reason for this prayer invitation for a marathon of a week?
Yes. You know that the bill has come to the president for assent. And some people went to Supreme Court to challenge the bill itself. And this week, the courts, before they go on recess in July, are likely to give a verdict on it. And we are enjoined to pray continuously. So as Christians, we want to call on God so that God will intervene so that this bill can see the light of day. Supreme Court will have to take its ruling. President will have to give his assent. But this is a process. So we are calling on God to come in this matter. Yeah, that is why we are enjoined to pray without ceasing.
Okay, so let's listen to Dr. Edwin. What do we have to do in this prayer marathon?
We are targeting three main things concerning the bill, then concerning the elections that are ahead of us, and then also the economy and things that need to improve. So the bill is the immediate one that we need to focus our attention on. We are praying that the Lord will guide those who have the power to take decisions that will affect the destiny of the nation. So, like I said in the Bible, that pray for those in authority that we may live in peace. We need to pray so that they take right decisions. If I may give an example that was shared with us some time back, it was shared with us by the Archbishop Ajinasari some time ago. He was here had a program with us, pastors and leaders, and he mentioned something which was very, very, serious. He said, at the time of President Jerry Rawlings, he visited him at his office, and after the discussion, the president told him that, pray for us that we take the right decisions, because sometimes we take some decisions, and then later on we realize that, what happened to us? How come did we take this? And they had to come out and defend it publicly. It wasn't only President Jerry Rawlings at the time. He also visited President Kufuor, and he said virtually the same thing. Not only that, he visited President Professor Mills, and he said virtually the same thing. So when he was sharing this with us at the seminar, he said we shouldn't just be blaming the leaders and then attacking them, blasting them, whatever. But we should seriously pray that they will have the strength and grace and the covering of God, the wisdom of God, the power to take right decisions that will affect positively the future of the nation. Because it looks like powers are really influencing every nation in one way or the other. So for me, this decision to pray continuously for 168 hours, that's 1 week, 24/7, is key to having the nation be on the right direction, do the things that will not jeopardize the future of our children, because the children are our future. And this LGBT thing is targeted at our children. In fact, if you have the chance to listen to the gay choir. Is it the California one or something? He said, we are coming for your children. So once these people are targeting our children, we need to also stand up and pray seriously for God to intervene. Just like Peter was put in jail, the church prayed and God saved him. We need to also pray and make sure that the right things are done to protect the children and our future in this country.
So praying for our leaders at all times, praying for our children, and praying for all in leadership positions to be able to take decisions in consonance with God's word. Yes. Reverend Samuel Entries, what other activities do you have earmarked for the week?
Okay, so as we engage the Christian community and then parachurches groups to pray, we are engaging ourselves on the Zoom platform. So as I speak with you, there's a link. People are praying from all corners of the country and from different churches, as the Catholic Church was invited to also pray. So whilst the churches are praying, we are also working behind the scene to make sure that today as we speak, there's a sitting about this in court. So whilst we are looking at the bill being presented today, others are also there waiting to see the outcome of the parliamentary sitting today. So we are praying and we are making sure we are also engaging those that matters in such matters in passing the bill. So the court is working, the House of Parliament is working, the coalition is engaging ministers and others also to be praying and also working behind the scenes to seek the consent of those who can also help to, as it were, pass the bill in favor of what the country or the nation seeks.
Okay. So, Reverend Evangelist Kofi, in your earlier presentation, you said that this coalition started from 2019.
Yes.
And it's been in existence since. My question is it just in reaction to these threats, or you have an ongoing program for promoting Ghanaian cultural values and our religious principles?
Yes, we do. In actual fact, we are praying that this bill will come into law. But we are also thinking of the educational campaign to raise public awareness on these proper human sexual rights and family values. Because a lot of times, there's a lot of influence coming from the Western world. The Arab countries, when you are involved in gay, lesbianism, they will kill you. But we are not advocating for that. We think it's a change of mindset for people to know that, one, it affects our culture, and two, it's against God's word. And if Sodom and Gomorrah had trouble, they were destroyed because of this, then who are we to say that we'll sit down? So the educational campaign is there. Again, we raise prayer and get the Christian churches and then the other Christian parachurch organizations and everybody to get involved to know that this is an onslaught from the Western world on our culture. So more or less, education, advocacy, and letting people know that we are against this as a nation. We are against this.
And further to add to that, the coalition, as you said, it was brought. It came out because of the threat. But after the formation of the coalition, we realized that we need to continually educate people. So after even the bill is passed, there are several programs to continue educating and engaging stakeholders about the morals, about our culture, about everything that there is to do as a country and as a people of God.
Yes, okay. I want to add that we have the medical side. There are some people who need medical help. And if you look at the LGBTQ, The I stands for intersex. And some people, they are born with both male and female organs. Now, we have a hospital in Accra, and where if you need help, they will help you. So we don't just talk, but we also help people who have challenges. And if somebody wants to come out of it, we help the person to really come out of it. Some people, psychologically, they have gone in and they feel condemned, and we have social workers who help them.
So, by help, you mean you have medical assistance, you have psychological counseling assistance, you have the educational component, you have the religious aspect, and then the cultural promotion, so as to be able to give a comprehensive approach to this issue. I looked up the constituent members of this coalition, and I found out that the Islamic Council and then the Ahmadiyya Mission is also, they are all on board. Reverend, would you want to share with us what our brothers, the Muslims, and then the Ahmadiyya Mission are also doing in this regard?
Thank you. They are virtually doing similar things that we are also doing, but they are also, the main tool is the information and education. And they are sharing things that are in their beliefs or in the Quran. That is pointing out that these things are an abomination, haram. It's an abomination, and people should avoid it at all costs. And in fact, the traditional rulers are also playing their role whenever we meet. They also support us, or we do seminars and lectures and those things. They are their bit, indicating that culturally it is a no-go area. And the Muslims too are showing, are going along the same thing, saying that it is against their beliefs, just as it's against Christian beliefs. So they are also working in tune with the coalition. Okay. So the coalition is a complete set of beliefs and systems that is set up to fight this menace.
I also found that you have the support and the membership of the national and regional houses of chiefs also on board. So my question is this: from the CDD, which is the Center for Democratic Development in Ghana, from their survey in 2019, they said that 93% of Ghanaian ethnic and religious groups disapprove LGBTQ plus practices in Ghana. The question here is to you, Reverend. What then stands in the way of the Family Values Bill to receive the presidential assent?
Okay, thank you, Father. You look at it this way. What at all is the bill? So the bill looks at 4 areas. And then one, first of all, is about our laws. You look at the law of the country is against unnatural carnal knowledge already. So looking at that, we know if somebody is engaged in unnatural carnal knowledge, for that matter, maybe gayism, already the person is supposed to face 3 years. And then we come to our traditional authority, as you rightly mentioned not long ago. Now, just last year, Ojiahoho JB was the president for the National House of Chiefs, and he said our culture, our religious bodies, everything is against the LGBTQ plus. And for that matter, they, the chiefs and their subjects, are totally against it. Now, you come to look at the health implication of this gayism and lesbianism. Now, my chairman just mentioned that when you come to our facility and you meet young guys who are wearing pampers, diapers, and those things, who need help. Now, even AIDS is is rising again. AIDS is coming back, and the statistics shows that it is because of this engagement in gayism that is bringing back AIDS. Now, you look at the churches and then the Muslims, as you mentioned. So if the Muslims, the Christians, the traditional authorities, the laws are against all these things, CDD is right to say that then about 93% are saying we don't want it. So what is obstructing it? What is obstructing it? Now, the parliament, we're all in the country when the whole house, even the speaker asks who says, who is against it? Stand up, let's see. Nobody stood up to be against it. Nobody. So it therefore means that even the seat of parliament is totally with it. So what is obstructing it now is something that's beyond our understanding. But we realize that a lawyer, Amanda Odoy, and then Richie Sky took it to court, and so therefore the president, after the House of Parliament sent the bill, the president wanted to wait for the court to also for the court to declare it whether we are for it or not before he signs it. But actually, we also see that things cannot be normal. Sometimes there are things that you think is normal. That is the reason we are calling for prayer. So whilst those things are there, whilst waiting for the court to, as it were, declare their stand or the stand of the laws about it, whilst we are waiting for the president to assent to it, we know that when we call on God and pray, every obstacle about it will be moved. So there are obstacles that are beyond our imagination. That's the reason we are calling for prayer. So we are not looking at the physical obstruction alone. We are looking at there might be spiritual obstructions.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to add to that. You know very well that the Western world isn't very much for this. And we go to IMF, our economy, and they will be threatening you that if you sign that bill into law, would squeeze you financially. And I think that is there. So even though the whole of Parliament have agreed, it might be possible that the president is thinking of the economic implication. But we as a nation should take a decision that this LGBTQ is against our fundamental rights as a nation, as a people. And if that is the case, then whether the consequence is financial squeeze, we should go ahead and deal with it. And we should be self-sufficient.
The Reverend Evangelist explained the four components of the bill. But from listening around and then reading around, one of the thorny issues in this discussion is the fact that the bill, as it stands, criminalizes homosexuality. And the question is, why does it have to be criminalized? I also went online and then I Googled this bill. And then from the coalition's own Google page, it says that the Family Values Bill seeks to promote godly family values and biblical sexual ethics, as well as put a stop to LGBTQ activities in Ghana. Can't we achieve this without criminalizing LGBTQ?
I want to say that the focus, first of all, is on those who are important. They bring in money. Cape Coast here, they had groups, before we started Cape Coast, they had places where they were giving people money. And unfortunately, a boy as young as 9, 10 will be given 5 CDs for them to have sex with them, anal sex with them. And that is serious, and that one is criminal. So if what you are doing, damaging the lives of young boys as young as 9 years, and you are complaining that we are criminalizing, you are the first criminal. So as a law is there to get people to decide that if I go in, I'll face the consequence, so that he thinks twice. Number 2, these people bringing in money, they come, but the bill also targets them so that they would be cautious, because they know that Ghana would not. We have not gone to the sense to say that somebody should be killed. No. What we are saying that the person, if you go to jail, and even there's counseling, People, if you want to come out, the bill makes provision for people to be counseled so that they can properly get out.
Reverend Doctor, I guess my question here is, can't we dissociate the two? That the legal aspect would have its own course, and then the moral, biblical ethics that the coalition wants to enforce and then teach, can't it also have its own direction? Do we need to merge the two?
It's a dicey situation because some will hide behind the scenes and be promoting it. So if you use only the moral aspect, the counseling and the whatever aspect, somebody may be hiding somewhere, they'll be pushing it, then be destroying what you are doing. So I think that Parliament discussed all these things and decided to merge the two, so that where there are options for people to be dealt with how their cases, depending on individual cases. So I believe the law has catered for the two to be for a purpose.
So my question, I want maybe to go around the table because I think it's a very thorny issue that many people are trying to lay the blame at the doorsteps of the Christian Council of Ghana, the National Bishops, Catholic Bishops Conference, the Islamic Coalition, and everybody that these people who preach the Bible, the Quran, these people who preach morality and then biblical ethics, they are the very ones also seeking criminal actions.
All right, so Father, to add to what they've said already, I mentioned it from the earlier submission that it's already a criminal act to have an unnatural carnal sex. And even the natural one, even if you flout the normal laws,
Underage
is jailable.
Rape.
So rape and all those things that sometimes is the normal, the sexual thing we do. If you don't do it the proper way, you are jailed. So how much more this unnatural one? Now you look at the health implication, you look at the consequences on the future of the country. So the coalition is not seeking that anybody should be jailed, but the coalition is looking at putting measures that people will sort of try to be afraid of.
Yes.
It's a caution. Father, as we speak now, somebody might be hungry, enters into somebody's cassava farm and picks 1 or 2 tubes to maybe go and, without seeking permission. What happens? The person goes to court, and what happens? It's a jail, just because the person is hungry. But you were hungry, you didn't seek the consent of whatever, you didn't go to the right channel. So the coalition is not just threatening people, but we know that with the law and the moral aspect we teach, the two will be able to help us to, as it were, achieve the purpose or to protect the country and whatever.
Okay, so still playing the devil's advocate here, I know that the law can take its own course. Just as you described, many cases of let's say, aberrations against the law, and then the law would take its own course. Why is it that the criminalization has to be embedded in this family values bill so that it has become actually the key thing that people talk about? Especially when you go on the international media scene, they would tend to say that Ghana is criminalizing LGBT, and then the religious bodies are actually in support. I do feel that we teach the Bible, we teach the Quran, we teach the traditional values and everything, and then the law also takes its own direction. Where somebody has stolen something, we condemn it. But it is the law, the constitution that has to take its course in terms of bringing somebody to the court and then dealing with them according to what the law says. This same thing, so we can also denounce it, but the criminalization and everything has to be for the constitution. Why has it been embedded into this particular one?
Well, I think first of all, what you are saying is that you are agreeing that anything which is criminal should face consequence. And the anal sex, let's put it that, is criminal according to our laws. So all that the coalition is saying, let's bring it into perspective so that one bill, one law, whatever is criminal, it has all been put in it. At the same time, there have been systems to help people come out of it. Those who want to come out, so that when we are preaching, when we are telling people that it's not right, you know that you have options. People who need medical assistance, it's all part of it. That's coalition is doing. So it's criminal. But what we are saying that, why don't you make it comprehensive so that if anybody flouts the law, we are also there to help the person get out, not just for the person to go to jail, but to get the person out. The person might need medical help. The person might need psychological help. But we are ready to offer this. Sometimes some people, they do it even because of finance. And there are young people who are being helped, financially. So what I'm saying is that the coalition takes a total look at the whole thing to help our people, now one, to stand, and also not to be influenced unduly by Western powers, by Western advocates. I think that is.
Let me push in again.
Okay, so
Just a second. What I want to say here is this, that when you are seen to be part of the criminalization process, you lose a certain sense of credibility, even from the people whom you are going to offer counseling, whom you are going to offer the assistance, because they identify you with the system. So therefore, if you are the very person who put me here, why are you now coming to preach a different message to me? So my point is that the law takes care of these things. We are agent of religion, we are agent of morality, and then we also come in to be able to offer a different perspective. But here it's almost becoming as if like we are the extended arm of the law. And that is, I think, some of the thorny aspect of this whole campaign, that people don't seem to even trust us, that we are in favor of the proper human sexual orientation and family behavior, because we are the very ones who will report them. We are the very ones who would submit them to the law and everything. So I do want to just pose this as something for our consideration, that how do we regain our credibility as teachers of or agents of morality and biblical values and everything, without necessarily getting into the murky area of the law and then its consequence and everything, because they are there to take care of that. We also have our own field, and then we should be able to be masters of our own field and then deal with it, so that we gain the credibility that people have for us. So, for instance, if you went to the prisons with the Bible, and then you went to preach, and then you went to ask somebody maybe to confide in you, and then to receive counseling and everything, and then the person looks at you as the extended version of the law, how would they even be able to trust you and then be able to confide in you and share the inner depth of their troubles with you?
Okay, so Father, the coalition, the work of the coalition is not about, we are not handling the legal aspect. That was the whole reason why it was channeled through the House of Parliament, through the 8 eminent MPs. So they are lawmakers. So whilst we look at what you are saying, while we look at the moral aspect, teaching about those things we need to teach, helping people here and there, then we've handed that aspect to the lawmakers. So they are handling that, and when it's passed as a bit, passed into law, then it's the court of law that will look at that aspect. It's no more the church, it's no more the coalition. So the coalition will continue with our advocacy, with everything we need to do to assist, support people. So whilst we are looking at what the religious bodies or the church is supposed to do, we want in such a way that there will be laws, because in many cases, when you are fighting something and there are no laws backing you, others will chance on the weakness of the law, and then will be pushing their agenda. Now, Father, many of us that are into the coalition, when you do a lot of search, you find out that these things are just not normal. There are people who are pushing it on the truth of our country, on the truth of our children. So, like for people who are maybe in their room doing their own thing, nobody cares about that. But when you want to step out and influence our next generation, when you want to step out and influence innocent people, when you want to step out and affect innocent children, we've been going to the schools, and sometimes when you meet some of them and they tell you how they entered into these things, Father, you marvel and ask yourself, what is the state doing? That is the reason why we are pushing that the law will have its course, the House of Parliament will help us push it, and it becomes a bill. So the coalition, the church is not, as it were, the one going to handle the criminal aspect or maybe the law aspect. But we look at what you've been saying, that we keep on advocating, we keep on helping.
Okay. So I think that this is an ongoing conversation, and then I just wanted to push this discussion forward in another direction. We had said earlier on that some of these tendencies or teachings or a new wave of thinking crept into our curriculum through the Ministry of Education, and then it got into our basic schools. I know that in the past we used to have RME. To what extent is the coalition able to influence the content of the religious and moral education in our schools? What are you doing as a coalition?
I think there is that push from the mission, especially the mission schools, the churches that have the schools. They've been making that demand. And recently, I heard the Vice President of Ghana talking about his intention to help return these schools back to their missions, for them to have the impact that they used to have for the religious and moral education aspect. Because for the things that are happening, and he was mentioning also about this LGBTQ thing. And so I think there's a push coming from there which has influenced him to say publicly that if God gives him the grace to be in power, he would want to do that for the moral and religious and moral education aspect of the curriculum to be brought up, to be given power to work in our youth.
Thank you. Gentlemen, if you have anything to add, what are you doing to be able to influence the content of the teaching of religious and moral education in our basic schools?
I think we are all involved. The churches, not only the coalition, the church, all of us have to go about with advocacy. And then all we are saying is that advocacy. And when you talk, and then people have a sense of change of mind, it becomes easier for the politicians, because Ministry of Education is headed by the politicians. And sometimes the politicians have certain agendas, influences. This comprehensive sexual education came from the Western world. But when the churches rose up, when people rose up, they withdrew it quickly. So we are all involved. The coalition is doing its part, but let's all, as Christians, parachurch organization, the big main churches, the mainline churches, let's all get together and then push the agenda so that the orientation of especially our children, will be God-focused and not the Western world focused. I think that is.
Okay, so to add to that, we are fortunate to have a member of the coalition to be Honorable Reverend Intim Fojo, who is the Deputy Minister of Education. He's part of the coalition. And there are a lot of things underground that we are pushing through the coalition to get to the Ministry of Education, so that a lot of things should be considered. As you mentioned, you look at those of us who attended the former system, and then we are so brought up in such a way that there's a fear of God, there's everything in us. But this Western push is trying to take away even some religious aspect of our education, and then even some parental control and a lot of things. So we are fortunate we have a person like the Deputy Minister of Education as part of the coalition. So we are pushing a lot of things we can't say on air through them. And like Reverend Dr. Edwin Ahim also said, when we heard that from the Vice President, we chanced on that, and we're also pushing some few things. You know, in Ghana here, we thank God and we thank your eminent television for the station for hosting us. In Ghana here, if there's even a false news, a fake news, and it's aired several times, it becomes a news. It becomes something that people will take it. So we also are engaging the media houses. We are also engaging a lot of stakeholders to make sure we push this agenda for people to also come on board to support the coalition, to be able to put the government on their toes about these religious, this fall in our religious lives, or how to say, our morals. So the coalition is doing our best, but not all can be said on air.
Okay, so I was thinking about our contemporary world, where interaction with the external world is inevitable, and where we talk about globalization and then the cultural exchanges and everything. So for the coalition, how are you preparing Ghanaians to be able to stand out or be able to present their culture, their values in the midst of these global interactions?
Well, I want to say that we have come into a global world. When you take your phone, some of the things you see on it, if a child looks at that, might be highly influenced. That is why, first as parents, we need to guide our children. And in the churches, in the Sunday schools, and so on, what we are saying, let's bring up our children also in the fear of God. We need to encourage ourselves. The coalition will do its part. But we all as nations, and also the religion, other religions, they all know our traditional religion. They know that certain things which are not right. Yes. Our tradition, you can't, premarital sex, it's against our tradition. But what happens is it goes on. So if we are all doing the advocacy, it helps. So I would say that let's all continue and then and also pray about it. And let people know that this is what we want to do.
Okay. So, gentlemen, before we go, I'd like to go around the table and then take your final words.
Right. Thank you. I think that was last year. Was it last year? We had a series of lectures and talks, film shows, trainings, prayer sessions, a whole lot. And it was targeted at, it cut across children, the youth, communities, ministers, traditional rulers, a whole lot, so that people will get the information. That was what we did last year. And hopefully we are praying that we can repeat it. So it has at least given people some insights and where it is coming from. And there's one thing which was shared briefly. It was about a lady who had targeted the Christian faith, how to destroy it. And the name is on the internet, Alice Bailey. If you search, you will see her 10-point agenda and how she has given ideas how to destroy the Christian faith. So we should know that we are on a war front. If people get to know that they are on the war front, they behave differently. So this thing has been going, the training, the lectures, and all those things have been going to inform people, educate them, show them what we can do. At least prayer can prompt you, can open your eyes to certain things and give you some strength to move forward.
Okay. Reverend Samuel Kwame.
Okay, so for that, I will look at, first of all, I will tell the whole country that sovereignty is sovereignty. We are a sovereign nation. We shouldn't sit down for others to push things down our throat. So we should all come on board to help the coalition take a stand for the country, not for the religious bodies or just for the coalition. It's for the whole nation. Now, secondly, those young guys that are being influenced with money, please think about your future. Don't think about it now. Think about your future. And then I also urge the church. We thank the Catholic Secretariat for coming on board to be praying with us. We are engaging all churches to pray. We urge that everybody should be on board. There are a Zoom link. There are church houses praying. So when your church calls for prayer, can you join in? Where there's the link shared, join the Zoom link and let's pray. And as I said, today, I think there's a court sitting today. So we are praying that by rising from court today, they will pass the bill. The court will grant the laws in favor of what we are seeking. Now, finally, I want to say that if you look at all these things, we ask ourselves, without God, without involving God, can we win the battle? Can we succeed? The answer is no. That's the reason we are calling on all to involve prayer and prayer and prayer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to say a big thank you to the Catholic television for hosting us. This is very important to us. But at the same time, we say there are other television stations, the Christ Apostolic Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Westland Television. A lot of television stations are taking it, especially in the night. But anyone can go on the Zoom. When we finish, we put the Zoom link on it. So you just go and then pray. It's going 24 hours. So if you take a slot, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, you pray for the nation. Pray. And we're also not only talking about the LGBTQ or the pro-family bill, but we are saying we're praying for a peaceful election. We're praying for economic turnaround. That all these are important for the nation. That as come December, we'll all go into to cast our ballot peacefully and come out and then leave the rest to the Lord. And the economy, we need to pray. Investors come in, some of them come with their own agenda. But when we are praying, God gives wisdom to our leaders. We thank you, Father.
Thank you, gentlemen, for this lively discussion that you have had. As I said, this is just the beginning of a conversation that will be ongoing. And I just don't want us to finish the conversation here. We must keep the discussion going, and then we must bring others on board so that it will be one that would constantly be on the front burner and then help everybody to be able to fight for our cultural values, fight for our moral principles, and then be able to defend it when it's important and when it's opportune. And then we also hope that with such discussions, we would be able to enlighten a lot more people on the need for us to be able to safeguard our values and be able to promote it even on the international stage. So thank you, gentlemen, for participating in this conversation. And for you, our viewers, we are always very grateful to you for spending time with us. This conversation, this discussion will be available on our social media handles, Cafdil EDU on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and then you key in Cafdil EDU, Cafdil Edu, you would be able to have access to this conversation. And then on Facebook, you would be able to join us on Cafdil Cape Coast, Cafdil Cape Coast. So listen in, share, subscribe, and make sure that you keep the conversation going so that you widen the cycle of knowledge, and then the very many people who would also need to hear this message from the Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and then the Family Values. We do hope to come your way another time with another important discussion. Thank you, and God bless you.